Hi guys, it's Jennifer Andrews at Best Friends Animal Society. Today we're at Wild Friends. This is the manager Sierra. This is Emily and Brianna. They are our life-saving specialists here, and our special guest is Sahara, the desert tortoise. Here we are with Sahara. Today she's going to paint for us.
So for animal painting, we use washable tempera paint. It's basically the same thing that you'd use for finger painting, so you or I could eat it and be perfectly fine. So it's the same for these guys. Hi, good boy. You focus on that. I love that sound. Yeah, it's a good boy. Hi. So Sahara is a Mojave Desert Tortoise. Their native range is just a little bit south of the sanctuary. They are listed as threatened out in the wild. So with that, that means if you guys see these desert tortoises out in the wild, one, that's really special because they can spend up to 95% of their lives underground. But two, you're seeing a threatened species, but that means you have to give them space. So it is against the law to pick them up, to touch them, to move them, or mess with them in any way. And they do that to protect the wild populations. Got some Spider-Man colors going on. Because there are a lot of things that these guys have to go against anyways. So all of our desert tortoises came here because they have URTD. It's a fancy acronym. They have upper respiratory tract disease. It's like a lifelong case of sniffles. Hi. Oh, it's a good boy. Hi. Not looking on the peppers. Do you just want attention?
Is there anything else we can try?
Try kale.
Okay.
Let's try some kale. Oh, I'm painting. I'm stealing your spotlight, Sarah. I'm sorry. Oh. You know, tortoise painting, paint the tortoise. There you go. There you go. So there is one exception to the no-touch rule with the you knock over your tripod. With the desert tortoise. And this would be good if you're watching this with your parents. Make sure they know this bit. If you see a desert tortoise in the road in the state of Utah, you can move them across the road if they are in danger. If you do that, you want to move them in the direction that they were already going, and you want to pick them up from the front. You want to do this because when desert tortoises get, good boy, there he goes. When desert tortoises get scared, they pee, and they pee a lot. In the wild, these guys have to be so good at conserving water that they only pee once or twice a year. So if they get scared and they put all that on you, that is not gonna be your best day. So you want to pick them up from the front, move them in the direction they were going. You want to avoid doing this as much as possible. Because with that, if they get scared and they release all that liquid, if they don't find a water source fast enough in the desert, they can get dehydrated and be in a lot of danger. Good boy. So Sahara is munching on kale. These guys are fully herbivorous, so they only eat veggies. Our kids get a mix of kale and bell peppers and squash. They eat better than I do. Huh.
Yeah, he likes the kale.
It's a good boy.
Do you know how old he is?
We don't. So of all of our desert tortoises, we don't know how old any of them are. They came to us from a partner rescue that lost their funding. So once they reach maturity, it's almost impossible to figure out how old they are. Now there is a kind of a myth that, come here, Bee. What's a good boy? Come here. Oh, that's her. That's her.
It's a sharp turn.
Oh, that lost interest. Hi. Come here. Hi, baby. Well, Raleigh's right by the camera. There is a myth that you can count the rings on his shell. So every one of these compartments is called a scoot. They shed one scoot at a time. Good boy. And so the myth is that you can count the rings on their scoots like you can count the rings on a tree. And that's not true. In 1 year, they can grow anywhere between 1 to 7 scoots, or 1 to 7 rings. So it doesn't actually help you figure out how old they are. But they can live to be 50 to 80. So Sahara could be 20 years old. He could be 60 years old. We're really not sure.
Go with 20.
Huh, you don't look a day over 106.
I was gonna say, no matter how old he is, he still kind of looks like a little old man.
Hello,
does.
man. That's right.
I like his neck wrinkles.
Shows he's lived a good life.
How old can they get?
50 to 80.
Right.
He likes the tail.
Huh, that good boy.
Oh, look at how cute he is.
Doing such a good job, Sahara.
And you're quite the artist.
Yeah, it's already a masterpiece.
So since our kids were raised around people, they are very sweet. So if you really need to get your tortoise snuggles out, there is a foster program through the state of Utah. So if you sign up with the Department of Wildlife, or no, Department of Wildlife Resources, the DWR, and it's kind of like an adoption program. They technically still belong to the state, and we are just their stewards. We just take care of them. Good boy. Which we're hoping these kids will be able to go into a home at some point. But they are really outgoing, really friendly. They all have different personalities. We have 9 of them here, and I wouldn't say that any 2 of them are the same. Another fun little fact is they do have sensation in their shells. So Sahara can feel me doing that. And a lot of our tortoises do really like butt scratches. One of them, Gobi, she will lean into it just like a dog.
Get a little close for comfort there, friend.
There it is. These are looking beautiful, Sahara. You're doing such a good job.
So we're behind the scenes after the art class, and you might think that Sahara is getting a spa treatment, but we're cleaning the paint off her. Hi, now that we're back from the tortoise enclosure, let's go ahead and start drawing a tortoise. We're going to draw a whimsical tortoise so it can be a little more colorful. So let's go ahead and do a big mound, just like that, like a big upside down smiley face. Okay, and you want to leave about 2 fingers over here because we want to put a square, or actually let's do a rectangle right here. And the rectangle is kind of slanted sideways. And then let's go ahead and connect the bottom. And also bring a little line down on either side, and we're going to bring that across for the shell. And then let's go ahead and do a square here, and a square over here, and then a square back here. These are going to be the feet and the head. So let's attach this one at an angle here, and then just a little bit right there. And then this one, we're going to curve the top and come right down. This one can be straight. I don't know if you noticed, but they have kind of boxy looking feet. And then here we're going to bring the neck up from this leg and bring it right into here. And then this is going to be the head, and we're going to bring it down like that. Excellent. Because they have a pretty square nose here. So we're going to leave that just like it is and bring a mouth across.
And let's do a little eye, a little closed eye. And then back here, we're going to take this foot and we're going to do an arch from the neck and arch it around. And then we're going to do a little line there to attach that foot. And then we can just do a couple of upside down U's for their toenails, little toes. And then a couple on this one. And instead of doing all of the scoots, remember that's what they call the plates on the back of the turtle or tortoise shell, we are going to just freehand it and we're going to do it fun. So I want you to start maybe at this line here and I want you to come down and make just any shape like that, any circular or square shape, and then come out a little bit like here. And then let's go ahead and put a big one right here. And we can do another one here at the top. So only half of that one's showing, which is great. Half of one here. And that gives us room to do a big one here. And then another half one at the span of the whole bottom. Okay, so now let's get our colors out. Let's go with colors today. Let's go with yellow, orange, and green to start with. So go ahead and grab those colors, yellows, orange, and green. Let's see. Okay, got my colors here. I'm going to go with these right here. Yellow, orange, and green, and then a small to medium brush would be good. Small to medium brush, and you can grab a couple of different ones if you want, and a little cup of water. Okay. Good, so I grabbed these brushes here, pointy one and a square one. And I'm just going to I'm going to go ahead and use two greens. I'm going to use a light green and a little bit of a darker green. If you have two greens, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you have two of any colors, you can always do that. Or add a little white to them. Make sure you shake your paints really well. Good, here we go. Use this one. So this is kind of what. There we go. So once you have your colors, let's take a look at the picture and go ahead and put your brush in the water and get it a little wet, and then grab a little of the yellow and a little bit of the green. And we're going to go ahead and bring that behind the scoops. So we're going to do the background. And because I'm using a thin down paint, if you go over the edge, that's fine, because we're going to paint the scoots. So just make sure you cover the whole background. I got a touch of orange in there, but that's okay. So. Okay, and then I want to do this bottom row. So let's just do it again with this light color. We'll put some accent colors in there. Okay, and then rinse that brush out. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of orange with a tiny bit of yellow on it. I'm going to do this one right in the middle. See how using those two colors gives kind of a light area and a darker area in that scoot. Okay, so next let's take a little bit of the dark green and a little bit of the light green, And let's do this one on the bottom. And I didn't wash the orange out of my brush. And that's all right because it gives it a little tiny bit of that orange color. My green is very thin. Good, and then I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. And let's do this back one all yellow. And this front one, let's do mostly orange. Let's see, let's do the top one. I'm not going to rinse my brush, but I'm just going to brush my brush like this to kind of get most of the paint out. And then we'll take the green and do the green up here. And then we'll take, let's see, the dark green and light green and do this one here. And for the last one, let's go ahead and let's squirt a little bit of red. Squirt a tiny bit of red out on our palette. And I want to take half red and half orange and then bring that. There we go. I don't know if this one, nope, that one's definitely not dry. This one kind of is. I think I'm going to put a little red in there. Not on all of it, just on part of it. And then I'm going to grab a little more yellow and just bring a little red into that color. Now you can clean your brush. And while we let that dry, we'll do the head and the feet. So let's grab, I want to grab a light brown or an orangey brown. Or a gold. I have two colors here I'm going to use. I have an orangey brown and a golden sunset. Basically just some colors that aren't quite as bright. And then take your smaller brush. I'm going to take this one right here so I can get inside the legs. So again, I'm going to grab a little bit of both colors. And I'm going to bring it down. I'm not going to do his toes. Actually, you can go right over his toes and we'll just add with the paint and the little brush, we'll just put dots down. That way we don't have to worry about getting the background. So go ahead and fill those in. This little back leg. And then his neck. So I'm going to do the brown underneath. And then I'm going to take some of this green, both the green colors we have, and I'm going to do his head. And see how that kind of gets all the greens and the browns in there? I like how that looks. You can even, if you've still got some green, just kind of mix that green in a little bit with the feet. Or you can use the light green. So it looks kind of watercolored. Good. And then go ahead and rinse that brush. And I want you to grab a little bit of red. And then on this middle one, let's go ahead and just do a little bit of maybe a zigzag. Maybe a couple dots. Same thing on this one. Let's put a couple random dots in there. Let's see, let's do a couple lines, maybe a square here, maybe a dot or two on the legs. What else? Let's go ahead and clean our brush. And let's grab some of the greens. And we'll just add a little bit of a swoosh. And maybe a little line through this one. Like that. And a little bit of the brown or the copper, whatever color you used for the legs. Let's do another shape in here. Another shape. And then one last shape over here. And then let's do a shape right there. All right, so his eye is closed, so let's do a little bit of an eye, like that. And I'm going to put a little green on top of that because his eye's closed. And then I'm going to take a tiny bit of the brown color because it's his nose, nostril, and his mouth here. Good. And if you have a little bit of blue, let's grab a tiny bit of blue. Just going to put a tiny bit of blue here. And I'm going to go back to my bigger brush. And I want you to, with a little bit of a wet brush, grab that blue and come around the turtle. And I had a little bit of color in there from the water. My water's dirty, but that's all right. So bringing that blue in. And then if it's too watery, I just touched it with a little bit of a napkin there to pull some of that paint off, pull some of the water out. Let's see here. Good, bring that down. Take it up the side, around the back. You can always add a tail if you want to. Perfect. Spreading it down like that. And then lastly, let's take our little brush again. If you want to get a teeny bit of blue paint on your brush, you can come inside here and add a little bit of blue. And then also I was thinking this area right here. Add a couple of little blue dots along the bottom. When it dries all the way, I will come back and I will outline it in black because I think that would make it look really good. Then any of the other colors you have, if you want to use them, go ahead and just add different colors. Kind of experiment on what you like, what you don't like. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of dots down here. Then I'm going to put a couple of red dots, not as many as the blue. That. Maybe the last one I'll do will be a little bit of this gold. Let's do some gold dots. And then if you don't like something, like I don't love this one over here, you can always take more paint and go over it. And redo it until it's something you do like. Okay, so I'm going to come back in a minute after it dries and we'll go in with the marker. Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit darker lines and then we're all set. All done.